there's a certain type of question that I get, and the essence of the question is about traveling, and it's about exploring the world. The email comes in different forms and it's different circumstances, but the central gravity of it, the substance of the matter is the same. I'm going to read one to you from a guy named Steven. Steven says this. Steven says, "Hey, Shogo, I'm currently at the University of Ottawa in the igloo known as Canada, and I'm not having the best university experience. I met a lot of people I like a lot, but I haven't really connected with people the way that I want to. Thus popped into my head the idea to get more life experience and really find out more from the world. It's always been a dream of mine, but I think now is a better time than ever to take the plunge. And by life experience, I mostly mean to travel, and I was wondering what your thoughts are on taking a break from school to experience more of the world. You seem like a guy who's seen the world and has a proper understanding of how you fit into the world. You seem like you've been through it all, and by the looks of your website, you found your purpose. My second question to you is if you've done anything like that, if you've left your home, explored the world and so on, and if so, how did it go?" This question I get from Stephen, just people like you who are in college. Then it's also people who are after college, after university, before they start their quote-unquote real job. Maybe now is a good time to travel. And then there's some people who start a job and maybe by the time they're 25 or 27, they start scratching their head and think, well, maybe now's the time to travel. And there's people a lot later wanting to take a sabbatical from their career thinking, well, maybe now's a good time. I've gotten emails from people, from men and actually women too, from people in all different stages of life thinking that now might be a good time to travel. Now might be a better time than ever for me to start traveling, seeing the world, exploring the world, adventuring into the world. But my recommendation is that any form of travel that you can do is always going to enrich your life. It's always going to benefit. It's always going to deepen your understanding of the world, your understanding yourself. And just like you wrote in this email, you kind of hit the nail on the head here, I think. That is gaining an understanding of how you fit into the world. You wrote you have a proper understanding of how you fit in the world. I don't know if there is such thing as having a proper understanding of how you fit into the world, but certainly gaining a larger perspective is really all we can do, is see things today more clearly than we did yesterday. Go ahead and take some time to think about where you'd like to go. It can be anywhere in the world. Some people like to trek and be in nature and hike mountains. Other people like to be in the city and even maybe explore an artist's life. Soak up a lot of culture, be around people, meet people. Other people like to be by the ocean, go surfing, all of that stuff. Try new food. The one condition that I put on it is that you go by yourself. Because the whole idea behind traveling is that you take who you are as a person. Only you, nothing else. I mean, your stuff, obviously, bring your computer if you want to, and camera if you want to, and clothing, and some money, but you don't need much else. And you put yourself into a new environment, and the adventure unfolds. Because if we go with our friends, we're bringing this kind of security blanket with us. We always have somebody to talk to. We always have somebody to bounce ideas off of. We always have somebody to help us decide. If we can't decide on what we want to do, well, then our travel partners can. If we go out and eat and we don't have anybody to go have dinner with, or if we're staying at a guest house and we don't have anybody to talk to, well, then we at least have our buddies to talk to. If we don't have anybody to relate to, well, at least we can relate to our friends, right? But the whole purpose of you going out is to explore new things, and in a way to explore yourself, because we are a reflection of our environment. A lot of times what happens when we're back home is that we become so brain dead to an awareness of who we are as a person, what our likes are, what our wants are, what our identity is even, that we let our environment and the people that we interact with and how people react to us, we let all of that dictate who we are. And we let all of that dictate our wants and our desires and our needs and who we think we are and our personality and all of this stuff. So that slowly, without even realizing it, we have constructed an identity, a self-identity, based off of nothing other than our environment. And we've never gone through a process of self-questioning, asking ourselves what we want to do. The biggest tool to help us do that, to help us find who we really are, what our place is in this world, what we really want in this world, how to settle into the flow of life. It's a thing that we all want, is to kind of go with the current of life, open up to the surprises that life has to offer us. The best tool to help you do that is to do this to go out and travel, to explore the world on your own. You start to see that, wow, you have to start making new friends. You have to start striking up conversations with people because nobody's going to do it for you. Well, how do you do that now? Well, how do you strike up a conversation with somebody? Now, how do I, you have to learn some techniques to start up conversations with strangers? No, you don't. You don't have to learn any techniques at all. The reason why we're not doing it, the reason why we're not connected to other people, we're not connected to the environment around us, is because we've let our the environment that we're used to tell us how to be. When in reality, there's so much power coming from here outward. From here and from here outward. There's a natural connection that's happening with the entire world. There's a natural flow that there's a natural course in which our life is flowing that we're not aware of. We're not even thinking about it because we're used to being in the flow. We're not even looking at what it is. When we change our environment to somewhere else, now suddenly we become aware, oh, okay, here's where I am, here's where I'm at. Now we just have to start questioning certain things about ourselves. Well, what do I want to do today? What do I want this trip to look like? What are the things that I want to go see without looking to other people for telling us how to be? All of these new people that you're meeting, well, how do I want to interact with people? What am I curious about in other people? We never question these things. So putting ourselves in this environment creates a beautiful unfolding, a beautiful flowering of our own natural personality. The most important intention that I think you can set for going out and traveling by yourself is that you make this adventure your adventure. This is an experience that is yours and yours alone. In a way, it's a exercise in walking that path of life, right? Our own path. Because that's why it's called your path. It's nobody else's path that can walk it for us. That's why you can't see one step ahead, because it's your path. If you could see one step ahead of you, it wouldn't be your path. It would be somebody else's path that you're walking in. What we really want is to take that step, because that first step into the unknown feels so good. And this is not, and I do mean literally, as in taking a first step into a new foreign land or a foreign place, but also figuratively, taking a first step. And this could be all the way down to the small level of connecting with somebody, communicating with somebody, connecting with somebody in a way, creating a new conversation and a new bond with a new person. The strongest bonds that we create with another person is when we create a relationship that is not built on a pattern of a previous relationship, but it's something all its own. It's two meetings. It's a meeting of two people, of mind, body, soul, that creates something very unique and very special unto itself. So, how it went for me personally? Well, I started my first journey on my own when I was 22 or 23 years old, and it was a guy who was a bit older than me. He's still a good friend of mine. His name's Caleb. I think he was about 27 at the time. And Caleb was going to take a trip. I was going to take a trip for spring break, and I was asking Caleb what he was doing. Maybe we wanted to go somewhere together. And he said, well, I'm going to go to Thailand. You might want to look into that if you want to. And if you're out there, maybe we can meet up for a bit, spend some time together. But I'm going to go by myself. And the first time I heard that, I was like, what? You're going to go by yourself? What do you mean? Who are you going to hang out with? How are you going to meet people? How are you going to have fun? You're just going to be sitting in your, dorm, hostel room or whatever by yourself the entire time? I said, no. The thing about going by yourself and traveling is that when you go somewhere, it forces you to meet people. And that kind of almost survival instinct that you don't even know you have starts coming out. When you're all by yourself, you start connecting with people. You start meeting people without trying to do it. That's the problem that we have with connecting with other people, with making new friends, is that we're always trying to make new friends. So when we're by ourselves, we kind of sit around and say, okay, well, how can I make new friends? We sit there and wonder. I get emails like this all the time. We wonder, how can I make new friends? Well, the reason we're not making new friends is because we're thinking about how to do it. And we're using so much of our brain, and we're not using any of our heart. We're not using any of our awareness of where we're at and the natural flow of life, the natural current, I guess, that life is taking us on. When we transplant ourselves and we're all on our own, but there's people around us, and we stay at a place that has other travelers, other guests, you'll find a way to communicate with people all on your own. It's like an instinctual thing. It's a survival thing. Human beings, we all crave, you hear this, we all crave connection. We crave communication. And it's not just us. We think we're the only ones. We see other people out there and we're wondering, oh God, how can I go connect with that person? How can I be like those cool people who are hanging out, having fun? That cool guy over there who's with that hot girl, how can I be like that guy? Not realizing that every single person that you see and you're craving this connection with, they're human beings too. And they're also craving a connection. And they're craving a connection with other human beings, including you. So when we travel by ourselves and put ourselves out there into the world on our own, naked, freezing cold, our instincts will take over. We will be able to connect to our environment much more naturally in a way that you don't have to think about, because there's no strategy behind this. There's no techniques to use to go meet people. The current of life will take you on it if you step into the current of life. And to do that, this idea of solo traveling, I think, is one of the best ways to find yourself in that flow of life. So Caleb went off on his own, and that was the first time that I'd heard anybody do that. And I think the following summer, a few months later, I still had that in my mind. Wow, he traveled by himself, and I heard people do this, but I didn't know anybody who really did that. So a little bit later, I think I was 22 or 23, I took my first trip by myself. And, well, let's just say ever since then, every time I travel, every time I go on an extended trip, unless I'm in a relationship, and then I go with my girlfriend, but every time I'm not in a relationship, I'm over single, I'm 33 years old now, so it's been over 10 years. I only travel by myself. And I'll meet people, I'll spend time with people along the way, and I'll make it a destination. I'll spend a weekend with them, and we'll have a good weekend together. But then after that, I'm back on my own again. And how did it end up for me? Well, let's just say that I'm still on it. The adventure continues.